Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Sentinel Knight fighter build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. So this is a really powerful class and it's one that I use in one of my very first playthroughs because it can actually set up your team to deal damage and it protects your team too. So we're going to be going with the fighter here as the fighter gets the most amount of feats to give us the best benefit out of this because it's going to take 2 feats, the Polearm Master and Sentinel, alongside obviously the ability score increases. So great weapon fighting. This is our great fighting style for this, as we're going to be using a 2-handed weapon. So when we roll a 1 or a 2 damage die with an attack with a 2-handed melee weapon, we get to re-roll the die. So that just flat out means we'll be dealing more damage. Defense is another really great one, because +1 armor class is always going to be useful, especially early on in the game. That can be a really helpful way to stay alive. So I'm going to take defense, but great weapon fighting is if you want to focus more on your overall damage output. As for the stats here, we're going to be going with a little bit different way of going about it. So we can take our wisdom up to around, I guess somewhere around there. Our main stat is going to be obviously our strength here. But if you don't have the Hag's Hair, like if this is your main character, take it up to 17, use the Hag's Hair, take it to 18. And then we can go ahead with other stats here. But something like this would look good. Our main 3 stats being strength, dexterity, and constitution. Dexterity for our initiative, strength for damage, constitution for health. Now, if you can dump some of these stats and put it elsewhere if you just want to, but I think that this works best for our class here. Now, I'll be going through the gear at the end of this video because the gear can make this build even stronger. But at level 2, we get Action Surge, pretty straightforward. Level 3, we're going to get to choose our subclass. Eldritch Knight is kind of nice, but I think Battle Master makes the most sense here. This is going to give us the most amount of oomph for our levels, I guess. So we get 4 superiority die, d8, so we can deal initial damage with this. As we get our maneuvers, these are interesting because this can really open things up. Now, maneuvers are powerful attacks that use superiority die. Riposte, when a hostile creature misses you with an attack, you can expend a superiority die to retaliate with a powerful strike that deals an additional 1d8 damage. Reaction, not a bad one to have. Riposte, being able to deal more damage is always nice, so we can go with that. Pushing attack can push the targets back 4.5 meters, which can knock them off of cliffs, which is actually really good. Trip attack can knock creatures prone. This is great if you have a lot of fighters on your team or any other martial classes, because knocking them prone will give you higher hit chance and critical hits on them. Precision attack is not amazing to spend a superiority die to give yourself a higher attack roll. Not amazing. Menacing attack, however, is really great because there's not only a ranged option, but when you frighten a creature, they basically are useless for that turn. So this can be really nice. And another option that we could go with, there are some other ways of going about building this, but disarming attack is a nice one. Deal extra 1d8 damage and then possibly knock the weapon out of their hand. Where this is useful is we can knock the weapon out, pick it up, and then they become pretty useless. Trip attack is a really great one though, and rally can be good to pick up. If you have a teammate that went down, you can use rally to pick them back up. I'm gonna go with pushing attack because I find that early on in the game, especially like because this will be level 3, there's a lot of opportunities to push enemies. If you don't have an eldritch or a warlock to have the eldritch blast push back, this is like the poor man's version of it. So pretty good. Always look for those opportunities to knock people off edges unless they have really good loot. As for our feat, we're going to go with our, this is what the whole build's about, Sentinel. So to become a Sentinel Knight, we need Sentinel. When an enemy within melee range attacks an ally, you can use a reaction to make a weapon attack against that enemy. Target must not have Sentinel. You have advantage on opportunity attacks when you hit a creature. It can no longer move for the rest of its turn. Now where this becomes useful is we're going to be using this big honkin' weapon here. And with this weapon, it has extra reach, so if we're able to attack them outside of range and then stop them in their tracks, they can't even attack us. So that is really huge. And we also get the advantage on opportunity attacks. We also get that from the weapon, so not a big deal. But when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, cannot move. That's huge because we can hit people outside their range. They become useless at that point. Now we get our extra attack at level 5. This is a really big power spike, allowing us to attack twice per turn for action, which is nice. So we can do 4 attacks with Action Surge in one turn, which is awesome. At level 6, we get another feat. That's why we wanted to go with the fighter, because of the amount of feats that they get. Now, Polearm Master. Whenever, when attacking with a glaive, halberd, or quarterstaff, or spear, you can use a bonus action to attack with the butt of your weapon. That's quite nice. Also, opportunity attack. When wielding a glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, or spear, you can make an opportunity attack when a target comes within range. So those are our 4 weapons that we'll be using: glaives, halberds, quarterstaffs, or spears. I am a big fan of halberds there. I found that they have a pretty good damage rating for them. And the opportunity attack, so whenever someone, with this, we can attack them from further range with our opportunity attack, and then with the Sentinel perk, it'll stop them in their tracks. So they won't be able to even attack us if they don't have a ranged option. So if they're coming to run and hit us with a weapon, we got Polearm Master and Sentinel to completely shut them down. These 2 feats have some of the most synergy in the entire game. Now at level 7, we get another maneuver, and sweeping attack can be pretty good too, because this gives us a... not a lot of people love sweeping attack, but we get extra range with the halberd, so it can be pretty useful. Trip attack, again, I said, is really useful for the knock prone. That can really mess up people. And then disarming strike, drop their weapon. Come on, that's seriously really good. Anything that makes like fear makes enemies drop their weapons, then you can pick them up. That really shuts them down, so we want to roll with that. At level 8, we get ourselves another feat. Exciting. You can even take the athlete perk to get the when you're prone, standing up only uses 1.5 meters movement speed, and you get the increase to your strength. I'm going to go with an ability improvement. Alert is another really good one. +5 to initiative is always extremely useful. Strength up to ideally 20, and if we had the hags here, that would take it to 20. That would be one of the best options for overall damage. At level 9, we get Indomitable. Whenever you fail a saving throw, roll again, use a new result. It's nice. Protection from spells. At level 10, Superiority Die increases to a 1d10, increasing our damage potential from extra 8 to an extra 10. And we get 2 more maneuvers. So there's some options that we could go with here. So the best ones, I would say, would probably be to go with Rally. So you get be able to give 8 temporary health points. If you have a teammate that went down, pick them up with this. It only uses a bonus action. It has 18 meter range. So normally you'd have to run over to them, use an action to pick them up. This is a bonus action from 18 meters. Sweeping attack too, since we have that wide range, but I would rather use other forms of attack most times. At level 11, this is where the build gets really powerful with the 3 attacks for their main hand weapon. Sorry about that. You can make 2 additional attacks after attacking your main hand. The build gets powerful at level 11. And then our final level, we get another feat. So we can go with an ability improvement to take our constitution up higher. We can go with something like the Savage Attacker. When making melee weapon attacks, you roll your damage die twice. So that's even better than the great weapons fighting that we had at the start. This will just flat out increase your overall damage potential. I think that can be really useful. I would recommend taking that, or Alert for the +5 to initiative. I just think initiative is super useful, especially with a frontliner like this that's going to want to get positioned. So I'm going to take Alert, because with Alert +5 to initiative, you can't be surprised. You can run up in front, and then you can use your opportunity attacks with the halberd to stop targets from getting close to you. So that can be quite nice. Now, as for our items here, we got a 25 armor class, and we have Blade Ward from the armor, so that gives us half physical damage, will only deal half, and then resistance gives a 1d4 bonus to saving throws. That's from the armor persistence, which also reduces all coming damage by 2. This is really useful. The Helm of Baldur heals you for 2 at the start of each turn. You have a +1 to armor class and saving throws, can't be stunned or can't be critical hit. Cloak of Protection, +1 saving throw and armor class, evasive shoes, acrobatics and armor class, and then Ring of Protection. This will take our armor class up to 25, which is quite nice to have. And then on top of that, I'm using the Legacy of the Masters, which gives you a +2 to attack and damage rolls with weapons. So that's just flat out increased hit chance and damage, always nice. Although we can go with the Helldust Gloves, which will give you weapon attacks an additional 1 to 6 fire damage, which is always pretty useful. So feel free to go with either of those. The Constitution Amulet to set our Constitution up to get 148 health. Although the Amulet of Ball is pretty good here on hit, inflict bleeding on targets that have maximum hit points. Paired with our alert feat, we can get up close at the start of battle, hit as many targets as we can to inflict bleed, and then on top of that, our Sentinel opportunity attacks will also deal bleed. So if the target didn't get hit already, that's pretty nice. But I do like the Constitution Amulet to get that nice 148 health. Without it, this build would have 112, which is still decent, but extra health means that you'll be able to protect your allies and stay alive longer. Now, I would recommend going with 2 hand crossbows. The Hellfire hand crossbow and the Fire Stoker are both pretty good options there. But really go with whatever hand crossbows that you can get your hands on. Most of our attacks are going to be with our Sentinel feat, though, and the Halberd. Now, for the Halberd that I'm using, I have the Halberd of Vigilance. Gives a +1 to initiative rolls, so even more initiatives, always nice. An advantage on perception ability checks. When you make an attack roll as a reaction, you make it with advantage. So we mostly would be making that anyways, but that extra advantage is always nice. Two-handed and extra reach is huge. Now, there are some other options that we can go with, like any quarterstaff we could use, any spear we could possibly use. I do think that it's probably best to go with like a halberd for that extra reach. I do wish we could use axes with that alongside it. I think that would be pretty cool, but yeah, we want to go with something like even the Dancing Breeze is a good option. But I'm personally a big fan of the Halberd of Vigilance. Gives you extra force damage. Gives you extra, like 14 to 26 damage is pretty good. We have a +20 to our attack roll, so we're never missing. And then our damage is pretty strong. So with our normal attacks here, we'd be dealing 14 to 26 damage. And we can do it from extreme range, which is always nice. So the main focus of this build is to stand up at the front line of battle, and then as enemies come towards us, we have a huge range where we can stop them dead in their tracks. So if you have all your casters back here, you can run up as a Sentinel Protector and keep them safe, because your opportunity attacks will stop them from moving, and then they can't even attack you. Now, I also like playing as a drow here, because being able to cast Darkness can be quite useful just for... I don't want to aggro Scratch, because he will aggro really easily there. But, yeah, outside of that, we'd want to be using our superiority die as much as possible. Sweeping attack is more so just for that, if you need to hit multiple targets, and especially with the bleed amulet, that can be nice. Disarming attack is one of the best, alongside menacing attack, so I would recommend going with a menacing attack as much as often as possible. Also, we can go with the Titan String Bow. That gives us a pretty good damage, because it'll add our strength. Deals additional damage equal to our strength modifier, so that can take things even further with our ranged weapons. But I think it's best to go in with the halberd, and disarming strike, trip attack, menacing attack being the main 3 that we'd want to use. So there it is. That's the Sentinel Knight build guide from Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.